Today on Conversations Aloud, we're discussing Iranian politics, conflict with the US, and media framing. We're joined by Shiva Rabaran, who is an Iranian living in the UK. She's a writer and researcher interested in the relations between freedom and art, and she's the author of a number of publications, including the books Iranian Cinema Uncensored and Iranian Writers Uncensored. Welcome to the show, Shiva.
Thank you so much, Ali.
So, Shiva, there's a lot happening right now. And usually when I speak to Iranians, there's three types of groups I have found when I'm speaking to Iranians. There's a group that does support the Iranian government. There's a group that doesn't support the Iranian government, but doesn't support foreign intervention. And there's a group that doesn't support the Iranian government and wants foreign intervention. I understand that you're in the latter group, the third group. What do you hope the US and Israel war will lead to in Iran? What is the outcome that you hope is achieved?
Before we speak about the war, we all have to be aware that Iranians tried to, as a people, as a nation, to talk to the regime, to negotiate with the regime. They have been doing it for the past maybe 35 years. And it's one pace in the past 20 years since the Green Movement, which was in 2009. It was sort of quite in the same time as the Arab Rebellion happened in 2010. So it's not that we have just, reached this point. Majority of the Iranians welcoming an international intervention just overnight. This has been we tried to speak to the regime. We tried to, we demanded reform for a very long time. And with each protest, the killing became more instead of less. And that was our main problem. That was when we realized that the regime is not going to move even an inch towards the people and their demands, but is actually becoming more and more of a hardcore killing machine.
Just to touch on what you said. So I understand that in Iran, there has been a movement to elect more reformist kind of politicians, right? Is the current president, he's considered more reformist, but he's kind of restricted on how far he can go because of certain other parts of the government that puts limits on how much they can do. Because I understand that parliament it's a republic at the end of the day, Iran, as much as it's also a theocracy, which is that they can vote, people vote for their politicians, and the politicians can make changes, but then it has to be approved. Those changes have to be approved by another kind of religious group, and sometimes they reject those changes, right?
Yes. The thing is that we tried everything to use those democratic institutions or ways, to reform our government, because that's the government of Iran. That's what at least they call themselves. But the problem is that any reform that has happened, any reform that could have happened was just rejected by the supreme leader or by the guardian council, as you call them, that the upper sort of assembly. So in a way, the reformist president or the MPs, they absolutely have no say. They are like they just acted more or less as some sort of ventil, as when people were angry, they would just come to the fore. People would vote for them. They would hope for change, and then they wouldn't have any power whatsoever. They would even help the regime to suppress the people. Some of the biggest and most brutal murdering of the protesters happened during the time of the reformists. So, for example, Mr. Rouhani was responsible. He was in the intelligence service that went ahead and in a way, did the logistics and organization of the killing of the 2009 Green Movement uprising, or during the 2019 fuel uprising, they shut off the internet for a week. It was also during Rouhani, and they killed more than 1,500 people. And right now, mass killing where tens of thousands of protesters were killed. They were unarmed protesters and they were killed. This happened under Masoud Pezeshkian. We realized latest by 2019 that it doesn't really make a difference who is the president or who isn't. No reform is going to happen. And the Iranian nation was very patient and very resilient and kept protesting, kept demanding, kept wanting the regime to negotiate with them, but it didn't happen. And then that's why we realized we need a regime change. And it wasn't going to happen with the regime.
Obviously there have been many protests and there's been a brutal crackdown, but you mentioned there unarmed protests. I think the issue is that a lot of people have seen armed protests, especially the last one whereby there were a lot of videos showcasing that some of the protests, I mean, from our understanding, is that the protests started as simple protests in the bazaars due to the economic situations. And then it kind of escalated into something else, whereby there were videos that I've seen myself of people with guns shooting or with Molotov bombs kind of throwing at mosques, buildings, all sorts. It kind of became something else. And then when you combine kind of the push by other agencies, such as the American agency or the Israeli agency, that wants to kind of create this kind of infiltration and disorder to weaken the regime, you can see how some people will not see it just as a protest, but also something much bigger, some kind of mission to create civil disorder, to push the regime weaker and weaker. And so it's almost like they want the regime to be as brutal as possible to justify anything that America and Israel can do. Do you see that view?
No, I don't see that view because the regime has proven to be extremely brutal every time there has been an uprising. I don't know what videos you saw because there has been almost like a total shutdown of internet. All these millions, there were at least something like 10 million protesters on the streets of Iran. If they're all, Mossad or
No,
American
they don't
agents,
claim that.
just that, yeah.
I think from what I saw is that the majority were actual protests, but there were some
Yeah.
that were.
Yeah, but they should let in, they should actually let in international NGOs and international observers. And they haven't. And they have shut down the internet, which shows that they have a strong reason for that. They are hiding something. Why is the country in complete digital blackout and has been since that killing happened? And I have seen different videos. I have seen dushkas, I have seen trucks just driving into people and running them over. We have very strong reports of the mercenaries of the regime, which are not only Iranian, but they are also Iraqi, Chechen, Afghan, Pakistani. They have their huge proxy network. They have gone into hospitals and they have killed the protesters. They have killed doctors. They have killed nurses. So they have tortured them. They have been in peacetime. They have been executing about 2,000 people per year. So if the regime is claiming that they were just pushed into this big act of, this crime against humanity and this mass killing on such a big scale, then the regime should allow the international observers to come into the country and report on it.
Yeah.
So this is why this is just a narrative that the regime is
I
pushing,
think,
that the protesters, some people sabotaged the
yeah.
protest. And we know them. We know their report card from the moment they came into power. They have killed
Yeah.
every time there has been a protest or a demand or a demonstration.
I
Yeah.
think I really do hope more NGOs obviously go in and document
Mhm.
everything. I think the problem right
Mhm.
now, and it's going to be increasing more and more, is the distrust that there is with foreign organizations,
Mhm.
especially now that this war has started. America and Israel are killing a lot of the leadership, which to a lot, they are hardline, but everything I see everything as relative. How hardline are they compared to who else is going to come next? Because it seems like if you kill kind of what we would consider moderate government officials, the more hardline government officials are going to step up, especially from the IRGC. They're going to take more and more control into the government. And so it's going to almost be more aggressive than before if you kill kind of those leadership. Do you not see it in the same way whereby it's the RGC who's going to gain out of this?
Everything is possible. We don't know. But when you look at things from the viewpoint of Iranians, those people were hardline already. They ordered the mass killing of the Iranians every time. They executed political prisoners in their thousands. They have been doing it for 47 years. We just want regime change. The Iranians, they just don't, they're just saying they want this whole structure, this whole system to go. Whether it will go or not, that's really a valid question, because that would be very, very scary. We saw a little bit of that. What you are worried about, and that's a very valid worry. We saw that in June when the Israelis attacked Iran for 12 days only. And after that, the regime became even worse in killing, in executing, in torturing, in kidnapping. I really, but as you're saying, it's a valid worry. And we would like that not to happen. That's why it's from the point of view of the Iranians, which is the overwhelming majority of Iranians who want a regime change, this war shouldn't stop before the regime and the heads, those figures who are decision makers, they are eliminated in one way or another, and that we need a transition period. We need a transition period that works. And if we have that, if the opposition outside of Iran and inside of Iran can work together, they can also sort of have the trust of the international community, then there is hope that the killings won't become more, and there is hope that those IRGC survivors won't come into power. But this all depends on how the opposition can work together and with the international community.
Yeah, it's I'll be honest, I struggle to see that the outcome whereby this leads to less power to the IRGC, simply because a lot of the people that, again, it all goes back to how it's relative, right? Some people distrust the West in Iran and the government, but they still want a relationship with the West. There's some people that don't want a relationship with the West. They despise the West. And it seems like the people that wanted to do the negotiations with the West, remove the sanctions, those guys are being killed. And what's kind of coming into place right now is the more hardline IRGC. And the issue that I think a lot of Iraqis, we fell into this trap whereby, Saddam, evil, killed a lot of his people. But then what came after that was a lot worse. And the same thing with Syria. Bashar, evil, bad. But then came an ex-ISIS leader they were gunning Christians, and it was causing havoc. Libya, Gaddafi, bad. What came after? There's like slaves in Libya right now. So it's almost like we've seen this movie before. We've seen this kind of how it plays out. I just find it difficult to see how they can kill the leadership and the below levels don't come out being against foreign unification or peace with the West, and not being hard line. Who is it inside Iran that can step up and kind of replace, for example, the IRGC, which is a very powerful organization that's embedded in all of kind of society.
I understand what you're saying, but there have also been good outcomes of military intervention. We only look at the failed military interventions. For example, in Kuwait, we had a good outcome, or say in France or in Germany, we had a good outcome. So it doesn't always, or in Japan, it doesn't always have to be like Libya or like Iraq. You also have to look at the country that is asking, or the nation that is welcoming a military intervention. And just before I go into why I think Iran has a good chance of not becoming Iraq or not becoming Libya, I would like to say that there is a clause, or there is like some sort of an amendment, a law in the UN, which allows for people, for nations to ask for military intervention, which is R2P, responsibility to protect. And this is what the Europeans did, the NATO did in Yugoslavia, for example. You can ask for it if the international community feels that the government is killing and not protecting its people, and the international community is allowed by the UN regulations to step in. So there has been order which has been restored in a good way after an international intervention. And I think that Iranians are perhaps better equipped than, say, the Libyans are or the Iraqis are for various reasons. One of the most important reasons is that they have been a continuous nation state with the experience of self-governance for over 2,500 years. They have had that experience. It has changed on and off depending on the wars and the crises that have happened in history. So they are quite they know what a nation is, and they know what governance is. They have had a millennia experience of that. The second thing is that the protests in the past 47 years, although they have been always suppressed in the most bloody way, they have glued the country together. They have a knowledge of what is going on the ground. They have solidarity. They understand that as a nation. And I think that that is another important factor in the Iranian chances of, you know, being quite good for a post Islamic regime life. And at the same time, I think that we have now a good consolidated sort of plan for transition. For the past 3 years, many Iranians, whether they are Republicans, whether they are in Iran, whether they are outside of Iran, whether they are monarchists or non-monarchists, a lot of opposition has rallied around Reza Pahlavi. And they are trusting. They call his name both in Iran and outside of Iran. Many people do. The overwhelming majority does it. And he has come to the fore and has been able to unite. He has been like a sort of an umbrella, like a broad umbrella, broad church, and has united a lot of voices who will be able to at least make a transition for the beginning, to have order, to revitalize the institutions that we have, because those institutions of good governance, of democracy exist in Iran, even under this regime, but they just weren't used because, they were just useless. You have the supreme leader and the guardian council, and they just did with it what they wanted. And they can revitalize those institutions, and this is why we are hopeful, because we have that transitional figure and the transitional plan. Like, for example, the French had, say, Charles de Gaulle, who was, supported and who had that transitional plan.
Yeah. When I speak to Iranians, especially outside, they do seem to support the Shah's son. Although a lot of also Iranians say that they're unsure whether he has the ability to kind of do the transition, but they seem to not see any other option. As in, that's the only kind of other option that's anti-government that has a bit of kind of leadership role that can be involved. But it's almost also like there isn't any other kind of strong leader, so they have to kind of go towards the Shah position. So that's it is interesting.
That could be the case. Some feel that way, others don't.
Yeah.
But so you can say the common denominator is that people in Iran and outside of Iran think that he is a figure, some think he is the best figure, and some think he is a weak figure, but the only figure. And that doesn't matter because they have decided, all of them, to rally around him, opposition, a big part of opposition. I don't mean all Iranians because that would be completely undemocratic. If everybody said for 99.9% that we are on the side of Reza Pahlavi. But there is a good majority, a healthy majority, and we can work with that. And it doesn't matter whether it's tactical or whether they really believe in him or whether they think he's the only, choice we have.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fair enough.
He has been able to
Yeah.
unite. And
Do one of the biggest impacts on Iran is the U.S. sanctions, which the U.S. sanctions have been implemented since 1979, which not only restrict the oil sales by Iran, but also impacts things like importing certain types of medicine. Um, do you see those U.S. sanctions as having, a lot of people see it as having two effects. One, they impact the people, but also they actually strengthen the government because it allows the government to be in control of a lot of things that would otherwise been given to the market. Do you see those U.S. sanctions actually doing the opposite effect of empowering the government?
completely. And you're right in that, because I think that those sanctions, and a lot of them were introduced to Iran under Obama administration, they actually strengthened the regime. They strengthened the mafia structure that the IRGC has. The IRGC became like a more and more of a junta that had the economic power in its hand. So that is true.
The thing
Yeah,
is, a lot of people argue that there was a way whereby we can bring Iran closer to the West. One way was whereby we have an agreement with them, which we did have, the JCPOA, remove sanctions, grow the middle class, remove the power from the IRGC because the sanctions help the IRGC, and slowly the kind of uh, the, the the people, the government moves more towards the West. And the other part of it is putting pressure on them, putting sanctions on them, making them more hardline, making them hate the West even more, and see any Western influence as a threat to nationhood, and therefore must be dealt with in a aggressive way. Do you see that putting that much pressure helps kind of change the government in Iran, or actually strengthens the government in Iran, as opposed to allowing them to be part of the international community?
you see that you can only change a normal government, whether by negotiation, by transactions, by international contracts, or whether by sanctions. They only work when you have a normal government. When you have a government that's ready to, first of all, negotiate with its own people before it negotiates with the outside forces or powers or countries. That's number one. This regime was never ever going to change. This regime has an ideological plan. This regime does not believe in it's a revolutionary regime that it has also, like most revolutionary regimes, is also very sort of kleptocratic and has mafia structures.
Yeah, yeah.
Not normal.
So that kind of, you mentioned there the mindset, the revolutionary mindset, but isn't it the fact that the West has been at war with Iran since 1979, kind of gives more fuel to that revolutionary mindset. Because if you're in a constant state of war, that revolutionary mindset will be sustained for a very long time. And the focus will be all on that revolutionary mindset, as opposed to a time where there is peace and lots of kind of business flowing and economies flourishing
Yeah.
and that kind of thing.
Mm.
Isn't it the kind of that the West kind of fighting with Iran that's kind of sustaining that revolutionary mindset?
The West hasn't been fighting with Iran since 1979. The Islamic regime has been fighting the West since 1979. The West actually helped the Islamic regime to come to power. The revolutionaries, I mean, if you look at the BBC and Guardian publication, that was in 2016, how they published the papers of the CIA, these declassified papers. Revolutionaries such as Ibrahim Yazdi, Qutbzadeh, Bazargan, they were the figures, the sort of moderate necktie wearing revolutionaries. They lobbied the Carter administration. They got money from the Carter administration. I think in Guardian it said $150 million in those days to because they saw a revolution is coming. Carter saw a revolution coming and thought it's good to have people of faith take over the power. So it's not that the West was at war. The West even tried to stabilize the revolutionary government, to even implement them in a way that they wouldn't attack the West. They wouldn't attack the West's sort of benefits or advantages. And these are not, and it wasn't that, I mean, I'm not saying that sort of the West staged a revolution in Iran. Many people didn't want the Shah. That's in 1979. There were many people on the streets, but the West actually tried to work with the revolutionaries. They tried it. They tried hard, and what happened was we had American hostages taken in October 1979. About like 9 months after Khomeini entered Iran. So I think this is like quite, we shouldn't forget history. It's a very important point to remember that the West wasn't at war initially. It was
Yeah.
the other way
So
around.
when I speak to some Iranians, they
Mhm,
bring up a couple things to indicate that it's the West that's kind of having this fight with Iran. It starts with
mhm.
kind of 1953 with the CIA coup that moved
I knew you were going to
the
talk about that.
democratically
Yes, yes,
elected prime
yes,
minister,
yes.
and then pushing Saddam to attack Iran in an 8-year bloody war, and
Yes,
supported.
that was
It was
awful. Yes,
hundreds
I
of
remember.
thousands of
I was
people
the
died,
only one. Mhm.
and that was
Yeah,
supported by the West, giving weapons to Saddam, and then actually giving weapons to Iran in the end, but also
totally.
supporting
Yes, yes,
Saddam to gas the Iranians, throw chemical weapons at the
yes.
Iranians.
Gas
And then
companies have to.
comes the kind of
Yes.
plan to
Mhm.
7 countries in 5 years to kind of do regime change in them: Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, Libya, Somalia, Sudan. All of them are done except Iran, attacking Iran's neighbor to the right, Afghanistan, attacking Iran's neighbor to the left, Iraq, and then saying we're going to attack Iran. So for a lot of not, I mean, some Iranians, they see it as it's the West, especially as after Iran's trying to negotiate with the West last year, they killed the negotiating team while they were negotiating with them. This year, they're trying to negotiate. They killed the leadership while they're negotiating with, which is illegal, by the way. It's a war crime to do that. So for a lot of Iranians, and the Iranian government uses this, of course, it says we're trying with the West. We've tried with the West, but they have a problem with Iran because it is a regional power and is a threat to some of the countries in that region. Um, do you kind of not see that as a legitimate kind of concern for some Iranians?
Regarding negotiations, the negotiations, um, we Iranians, the overwhelming majority of Iranians, always thought, why is the West negotiating with the regime? There is nothing to negotiate. The regime doesn't even talk to us. We are the main party of the negotiations. They must speak to us, to the Iranians. The regime was buying time, obviously. This is the main point. The second point is that whether the West has a plan, as you are saying, or a grand scheme, I don't know. They might, you know, that's what powers do. Powers have plans, and then the other countries try to sort of live and govern within those schemes. But I can't really say anything. I just know that when I was in Iran in 2003, I was there on the day that the Americans attacked Iraq. All Iranians, I was in the bazaar with my German husband and my little 3-year-old. And we were in the bazaar, we were watching TV, eating chicken liver, and everybody was saying, "Oh, they are so stupid, these Americans. Why are they attacking Iraq? They have to attack Iran." That was sort of the joke, but it was very telling because people knew nothing is going to happen. You know, nothing. This regime is unreformable. That was, the second point I wanted to say. And the third point, and the most important, is the Mossadegh story. This is something that is amazing because we didn't have a democracy in 1953. How can we have a democratically elected prime minister when we don't have a democracy? We had a constitution in 1953, a constitutionalist monarchy, where the prime minister was appointed through the Majlis, the parliament, whose members were democratically elected, and the head of the state, who was the Shah. He was appointed. Either the Shah suggested a candidate, talk to the MPs, and then they said okay, and then the Shah appointed it, or vice versa. And the second point is that, so he couldn't have it. He was constitutionally appointed. He wasn't democratically elected. And the second point is that we must understand what a coup d'etat is. A coup d'etat is always from the bottom against the top. The head of the state is forced out either by the army or whatever. Some revolutions are also seen as coup d'etats. And that wasn't the case because Mossadegh wasn't the head of the state. A coup could have been done against the Shah or attempted against the Shah. The Shah had over 22, 3 prime ministers in 38 years. He wasn't doing a coup every time he appointed one and took, and then, and chose another one afterwards. So this is really important to realize, wording is important. Mossadegh was popular. Actually, both kings, both Pahlavi kings worked with him. He was Shah's, the second Pahlavi's prime minister, I think twice. And they all wanted to do something with this unfair British imperialist oil accord or contract or whatever. But he wasn't acting lawfully. He just decided at some point that the constitution wasn't working, wasn't doing it for him, and he broke the law. Maybe he was pushed into it, I don't know. I mean, he was trying to go into some sort of an alliance with the Marxist Tudeh party. He tried to have alliance with the clergy in the Majlis, in the parliament. It was just tragic. And at the end, he was surrounded by by some 400, 500 army officers who were also very much on the side of the Communist Party. And then one thing led to another. The Shah was just feeling unsafe in the capital. He left to the north of the country. He left the country and then he came back. And the Americans helped him restore his power. But there could not have been legally, we can't speak about a coup because Mossadegh was first neither democratically elected, he couldn't have been, we didn't have a democracy, and second, he wasn't the head of the state. So this is,
But isn't the
but
Shah?
he was maybe a good man, I don't know. I
But the
mean,
Shah at that moment wasn't kind of the person, is more of like a monarchy like we have in the UK, but a bit with more powers at that time with the prime.
the executive was in the hands of the Shah. and he had the executive power, and he could, and actually, there were always these sort of bickerings between the Shah and the parliament. Always, they always had problems with each other, you know. But this was the one time where the Majlis wanted Mossadegh gone, and Mossadegh just closed down the Majlis. He just closed the parliament. You know, he didn't like what they were doing. He closed it down, and then he called for an unconstitutional referendum, and he lost a lot of his um, uh, comrades, a lot of people who were on his side. They just left him because they said, "You can't do that."
Yeah. And when the Shah came, because a lot of people see the Shah as a dictator during that period, how do you see him during that period?
Well, I think during that period, actually, he was trying to be as democratic as possible in the early 1950s. He was talking to his prime minister a lot. He was working with Mossadegh. He was working with the Majlis, and he was trying to get something, you know, out of this whole thing. He also felt the contract was unfair. This oil nationalization wasn't only a Mossadegh project. Reza Shah the first also wanted oil to be nationalized. Shah wanted it, Mossadegh wanted it, most Iranians wanted it. The only thing is you have to see what you can do. You have to negotiate. You have to, politics is sort of the art of the possible. What can you do? You know, what are your powers? What are the international powers? The Saudis had the same problem, but then they solved it differently. You know, they had the Aramco, which was like a 50-50 sort of company. And so, you know, they tried, and there were a lot of, I mean, no solution was perfect, but there were solutions that were better than others. And the Shah actually tried to, but there is no doubt that the Shah uh, wasn't a democratic king, as you know, in the Western sense of the word. We didn't have a parliamentarian monarchy as you have in
But
Europe, but we are hoping to move
yeah,
towards
but do
that.
Iranians see, like during the 60s, for example, that
Mhm.
he is considered as a dictator, especially with things like Savak, the secret intelligence and things like that?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he was definitely there was a lot of those things going on in the 60s and the 70s. I mean, the Shah wasn't a saint. What Iranians appreciate about him now, especially, is that he was moving the country towards liberties and towards rights that traditionally weren't prevalent in Iran. The Shah it was very important, you know, women's rights, family rights, the rights of religious minorities. They all came into being under the two Pahlavi kings. So you just have to sort of see, you know, there were a lot of freedoms in Iran, a lot of freedoms in Iran that countries comparable to Iran didn't have in Asia or in the Middle East. Muslim countries didn't have. But that he was a dictator, that Savak was not a, human rights institution, yes, that is definitely the case, yeah. It's just that people are now, at the same time, you know, they are looking at what they have now or what they have had for the past 47 years, and they are now thinking differently about Shah's time.
Shiva,
Yeah.
this has been very fascinating, and thank you for this conversation. You know, of course, a lot of us, you know, we want peace, of course, for Iran. We're just worried where this is going, and it's very scary, the events that are unfolding and where it can lead. But I hope it leads to peace and freedom. Shiva, if people wanted to kind of reach out to you or find more about your work, where can they do that?
They can look at my website, which is shiva-rahbaran.org, and my work is in there. I also publish in, you know, different outlets, and I have written books about Iranian culture, Iranian film, especially literature, and yeah, they can look at. But I just want to, before I go, I just want to say we all want peace and we all want great relations with our neighboring countries, with the Muslim countries, with the world, with the West, with the East. And this is what we all want and what we are working, you know, towards. And we appreciate the support of, our neighbors, and especially our neighbors. They are much more important for us than, say, the West or the East or America or, Japan or Russia or whatever. So we are hoping for that.
And
We are
yeah,
working towards it.
and hope it comes soon. Thank you
Mhm.
so much, Shiva.
Thank you. Thank you very much.